Hey everybody, welcome back. I am bored. COVID made me bored, and today at the table I am taking a look at Halo Flashpoint, the tactical miniatures game by Mantic Games. Obviously in collaboration with 343 Industries and Xbox, Microsoft. This is uh, this is the tactical miniature game, skirmish game, tabletop version of Halo. And this particular one is called the Spartan Edition. There is another edition that was released called the Recon Edition, which is sort of a trimmed down version of this one. Um, and if you don't already know, I love IP themes and or board games based on popular IPs, especially ones that resonate with me very well. And I do have Gears of War, the board game. I have Gears of War, the card game. And I love that video game series. And obviously, the first one prior to that was Halo, and I love Halo. I'm not an expert in Halo lore, but I really enjoyed the Xbox 360 series games for Halo. I did watch the Halo, I guess, two-season series on Paramount Plus. I really enjoyed that. A lot of people were critical of the storyline, but I enjoyed it because it's Halo. And when I heard that Mantic was coming out with this, I think the only other game I have from Mantic, I may not even have another game from Mantic. No, that's a different publisher for him. I think it was. I get that confused with. No, I do. It's Hellboy. That's another Mantic game. I was right. I really enjoyed Hellboy. I enjoyed that as one of my maybe first handful of dungeon crawlers I had, and I really enjoyed the way that it was sort of a collaborative gameplay, not simultaneous, but concurrent gameplay, and I enjoyed that, and I do like Hellboy and like the movies, but so I thought, oh, Mantic, I like their product, no problem there. I don't know too much about their other product lines. Apparently, Halo Flashpoint, the game mechanics is heavily based on one of their more popular skirmish games called Dead Zone. This was a leaflet that came in with this box, and I don't know anything about Dead Zone. I don't know if there's any story, history, or whatever, but it looks interesting. And I heard that Halo Flashpoint was sort of um, a simplified version of Dead Zone based on the Dead Zone mechanics, and I think even on the box it actually says based on Dead Zone, the gameplay. And when I heard about this, I thought, oh, really interesting. I did not pre-order it. I saw a lot of news coverage, and I was thinking, oh, this is back in November at the time of filming of this, and I thought, oh, looks really good, and I wanted to pull the trigger so quickly, but I just needed more information. I read the rule book for Dead Zone, but I don't know how the Halo Flashpoint one would differ, and there was no, as far as I know, I could not find the online digital copy of this rule book. So I didn't want to dive into something that I wasn't too sure about, despite an IP that I love. And at the end of the day, I'm a mostly solo gamer. So another skirmish, you know, two-player game, it I enjoy it, but it's not like I love to play against myself all the time in that manner. And I wasn't sure if this was something I could easily derive an AI for. I mean, I've had success with Street Fighter, the miniature game. Had a lot of success actually with that, but I felt this is a little bit more dynamic, so a bit more challenging to create an AI for it. And I haven't even checked the BGG forums to see if there's any AI for it. But I chose the Spartan Edition only mainly because of two significant things. One, the game board that it comes with, because the Recon Edition comes with a game mat, and mind you, it's a very nice mat, but the Spartan Edition comes with both the game mat and a game board, and I like the game board. I like it's a harder surface, it sits flat, it's just better. And the other point to the Spartan Edition would be the additional miniatures that you get. I think in the Recon Edition, you get 8 Spartans. In the Spartan Edition, you get 16, and you get 4 elite miniatures as well. So that's 20 miniatures. That's nice. That's a nice number to work with. And I thought and it comes with some extra terrain pieces. If you pre-ordered, you would get Master Chief. So I didn't pre-order, obviously. So I am missing Master Chief, and I am debating if I want to get the paint set that comes with Master Chief. But if I still happen to come along that, maybe I'll pick them up. And I thought, okay, you know what? I think this is worth it. The price point, there was I think a New Year's Day sale, and my local game store had dropped the price, and I thought maybe this is it. This is my calling, so I picked it up, and I have to say I am happy with it. I like the way the gameplay works. It is it thematic? Well, I think any type of skirmish head-to-head game, and you slap on Halo or Gears of War on it, can be thematic, but it does have a very Halo feel to it. Here's the rule book that it comes with, and I feel like the one thing that I feel is missing, two things actually, is I wish there was a list of all the components. You have it on the back of the box, but it's not as detailed. But it would be nice. I mean, it gets right into the gameplay. It gets right into what you need to know, all the definitions, the rules. I think the way that you do this, I guess, compared to other heavier, maybe even Dead Zone, I'm not even sure, heavier wargaming-like systems, like Warhammer, is there's no measurement. You don't have to pull out a ruler. I was in this, what do you call it, miniature skirmish game phase, and I picked up a few that, not that I regret it, but is it really something that comes to the table often enough for me? Well, one of them was Marvel Crisis Protocol, and I love the miniatures in that. I haven't done a video on it yet, and I plan to, but it is a very comprehensive tabletop tactical miniatures game. But there's measurement. You have a ruler for movement. You have a ruler for range, and I think that's closer to wargaming, like Warhammer and stuff like that, than Halo is. And for me, Halo is that nice balance between, I guess, that tactical wargaming tabletop game and a more dungeon crawl, like where you're moving from square to square or whatever. But in this game, it's cube-based movement, so 3 dimensions. So I kind of wish that there was a component list, and I also wish that there was sort of a summary list, you know, a one-pager or a back page of sort of a summary of things. And one of the key pieces I feel like it's missing is a quick reference for between shooting and assault, knowing the various modifiers that can happen, as well as what the command dice, when I get to that, the command dice, and also all your items and keywords. There's items and keywords here that I think once you start playing, you remember it, but it would be nice to have sort of a quick reference. So otherwise, I feel the rule book was done quite well and had enough explanation, images to sort of guide you through it. There is also, this is sort of a scenario or I guess mode-based gameplay. So you have the various modes that you would normally find in Halo, which is Slayer, Oddball, Capture the Flag. Strongholds is new to me. I don't think I've ever seen a Stronghold. That may have come in later games. Stockpile, same thing. So you do have a scenario-based setup, and if I go back to the layout, the map, I'm just going to go through some of the components because again, I mean, you've probably heard of it by now. You've probably seen some gameplays by now. So what I'm probably presenting right now is nothing new, but I thought it's really interesting. This is the mat that comes with both the Recon Edition and the Spartan Edition. And on one side, you have this nice sort of intro. It's a 5x5 grid, and it's sort of really around the border. It gives you all the key definitions, which I think this is great. I think that if all tactical miniature games came with something like this, sort of this quick tutorial, they usually include it in the book, but to have an actual sort of mat that has all the definitions here, even has all the characters to try it out, right? So you don't even have to pull out anything other than you don't even have to have the terrain pieces. You can just go on and try it out. So this is the one side, which I think was really great. I at least spent 3 times on this just so that I can understand the various, the game flow, the actions, and the keywords. And then on the other side, you have the I guess, outdoor terrain map. Now, this map in itself, it's I don't know if you can hear that, but it's nice. It's very thick. It's a thick sort of not sort of a semi-gloss finish. But if I just had this alone, it would be good enough for me. I actually think it would be good enough. It doesn't lay completely flat because obviously you've got the creases, but all in all, it's actually not bad. Um, but the Spartan edition came with the actual game board, and I'm glad I got it. I think I have no regrets. And the game board definitely, it's like any other, tabletop game board. Very solid, very flat. It lays very flat. I have no issues with it. It is double-sided, so at least you have two different, I guess, indoor-outdoor type terrain choices you can choose from, and which is really nice. And I appreciate that. So I think the cost difference is maybe about $40 to $50. Depends on I guess your local game store. And is it worth it? I think it is. I think in addition to the miniatures, you've got a few more pieces of terrain elements, which are also very nice. But I think it is worth it. So the box also comes with the terrain pieces, and you do have to assemble them. And I had one concern, which was based on previous experience with miniature games that have 3D terrain, is storage. And while this box is quite large, storage for these components in its assembled state will not fit at all. But they did organize the inside. They've gotten a nice tray. You'd have to take these apart every time. And I'm a little skeptical about it, but when I see the cardboard, it's really thick and it's really solid. So I think it can stand the test of time. This is a crate that you've got. You've got a sort of a barricade. You have this tower, and again, so you can see that there is some depth to it in terms of when you're moving, you'll be higher up. So position does matter in this game, obviously, like any other tactical miniature game. You've got other crates. Here's an unassembled one. So one of the things that I feel was an initial concern for me was sort of the way it slots in. I'm not a fan of slotting, but then I don't know how else they would do it. When I think of Doom, the board game that I have, the tiles, they have a sort of an interlocking piece that locks in, and every time I lift it up, I can feel in the hairs on the back on my back lifting up right now, just thinking about it, that it just sort of peels a little bit away from the image, like the paper image, this top surface, and it really bothers me every time. So when I'm playing Doom, I try not to push it too hard to connect. So with the Halo terrain, you actually have to slide it in, and it slides in and it locks in place, and you find the other piece, you slide it in. They've got little notches at the top to put on the top. It's double-sided, so you can choose to change the look. Is that really necessary? I don't think so. I think terrain is terrain. I don't think you really have to, it's not going to affect your gameplay, and at the end of the day, and it's not going to really matter. But you'll see that even just slotting this in is a little tight. I'm not too happy about that, but that side goes better. So you can slot them in and you can take them out. It is a little tight. Some pieces I find tighter than others, so I do have a concern whether or not at some point the groove in here will eventually wear down. But I can tell you that the gluing, the way the cardboard has been pressed is very nice, and it's very solid. And of the number of times that I've brought it out so far, I haven't had any struggles with it. I think probably for me, I would rather just assemble all of them. Find an old shoebox and stuff them all in there. The top tray for inside this box, again, I have all the pieces for the terrain disassembled. You've got capture the flag, a few other tokens that are in here. There is a add-on, or I guess not expansion, but another part of this that you can buy, which are plastic molded terrain pieces that you can assemble and paint, and that looks really nice. Is it needed? Probably not. It's only if you want, if all your other games have that kind of feel, like the way I have Marvel Crisis Protocol. It has a nice look to it, so it does, you know, make the game come alive, especially if you paint it. So this tray fits really nicely, but again, all the terrain pieces unassembled would fit more or less into these slots, and you can fit all the other tokens and pieces in some baggies, and it will all fit in there. So it is nice that they provide that space. And then you've got the miniatures, which are all quite nice. You got they're red blue resin or plastic, whatever, molded. Obviously, red blue, red team, blue team. And I think if you get these painted, it'll be really nice. So yeah, basically you have 8. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so 8 different models or 8 different Spartans, one in each color. And then you have the 4 elites. And I really like their poses too. This one's my favorite one. The one that's coming at you with the energy sword. He looks like you don't want to mess with him. And you've got a couple slots for the cards and the dice. But all in all, very nice, very nicely done. And I think that these are very, they're very nice. I kind of wish there was a bit more variety in terms of the type of Spartans. I think there are 2 Spartan brawlers, just different poses. So I guess it would have been nice if they added additional Spartans types in there. I don't know all the lore, but I'm pretty sure there's more than 8 types or 4 types. So yeah, so very nice. And I think having them all fit in the tray works really well. And you'll have their respective, I guess, stat card. And in the stat card, these are all the different stat cards that you get, including their special order. I'll get to that in a minute. But in terms of their stat cards, you've got a little bit of information. You've got the number of energy shield tokens that you have. So if they take a hit, the energy shield is first to go. They have some other keywords. In this case, tactician means it gives you an extra command die, as well as an extra reroll during your command die roll. And you've got your speed. I kind of wish that this was a little different. It is misleading, even though they do explain it in the rulebook. It's 2 to 3. It looks like it's 2 to 3. You can move 2 to 3 spaces, but no. In the game, you have on your activation or on your character model activation, you basically get either 2 short actions or 1 long action. And one of the actions that you can take is to move. And you would move, if you're taking a short advance action, you would move the first number, which is 2. If you wanted to do a long action, which is a sprint, you can move 3, up to 3, I guess. Okay. And I kind of wish there should be maybe a slash in between. So rather than 2-3 or 2-3, you'd have 2/3. So just a better designation. Anyways, small gripe. The next one here is your range success. So on a 4 or higher on your rolls, you have a success. In terms of melee, which is considered your fight, on a 4 or higher, you would get a success. You have a total number of health points, which is 4, and you have armor, which is 2. So when you're attacked and you're dealt damage, the first thing to go are your shields. Your energy shields during a round, they don't recover. So once you lose your 2 shields, you've lost your 2 shields until the next round where you replenish 1. And then the next thing to absorb the hits would be your armor. And your armor doesn't, I guess, decrease. So you'll always have 2 armor unless you have, unless someone's hitting you with a weapon that has armor piercing by X number. So that would reduce your armor to get to your health. Anything left over goes into your health. If you lose your health, then you are out of the game until you respawn, which is the next round or your next activation. So I think that was kind of neat. I like that it's not player elimination, it's not character elimination, unlike say for example Marvel Crisis Protocol, which is my only reference right now, where once your character's out, it's out. You don't get to come back. But in here, you get to continue to bring your characters back in, mainly because it's scenario driven and objective based. So once you meet the objective condition, which is the number of kills you get, or whoever reaches the number of tokens first or captures the flag first, then the game is over. So so that's nice. So then you always got your full team in when you need them. Your SV, which is your save, is kind of your defensive role. So on 5, in this case, in 5 or higher, you've successfully defended against an attack hit. Okay, so and then you'll have your weapon types, your default that you always have with you, and you have a slot here. Oh, sorry. So your weapon type would be have a close combat, which is designated CC, and then here is your range value for your range weapon. So basically 4 cubes away, and then your armor piercing if it has armor piercing. And again, that would penetrate your opponent's armor, so any hits go directly to their health. And then you have keywords. For me, one of the challenges, obviously, with any new game is all the keywords you need to learn and refer to, which is kind of why I wish there was a reference sheet. But I think if you go to BGG, there's a player aid. Someone's posted, I think, 2 versions of player aids. And they're really helpful, and I think it's something I'll probably print out. I just wish it was in a smaller format, but maybe I can make my own or something. And then you've got a slot for when you pick up a weapon, and the most you can carry is 1 additional weapon. You're free to change it out if you pick up another weapon, but you can only have 1 in addition to your default weapons. And then you have a slot here for items that you may pick up along the way, like plasma grenades or a frag or whatever, and you can have up to 2 there. So here are all the cards, and the card quality is decent. They've got some images on the back and a little bit of flavor text, so that you have a sort of a history or understanding of the type of character that that you have on your team. And because this is a squad-based skirmish, you're basically choosing 4 characters on your team, and that's that's your team. That's your fire team that you're going to be fighting with. In the game, you'll have tokens that you lay out on the board based on the scenario setup, and you'll get the weapons. The first one is weapons. I think you can get acrylic ones. I'm not 100% sure, but maybe that's a different game. So you've got these tokens that you pepper out, or not pepper, but at the beginning of the round, you'll roll to assign a location. There's certain locations that are set out marked for weapons, weapon spawns, and you'll spawn 1 each round. And if you so happen to be in the same cube or same area as one of these weapons, it's a free action to pick it up. So you'll have all the different weapons, more common weapons that you'll see if you've played the Halo video game, and along with it would be their associated card, and that's the card that goes on that pickup slot of the character stat sheet. And they'll have their own stats, so they'll give you a range if there's any armor piercing and any keywords that go with it. But you've got all the energy sword, the famous ones: carbine, fuel rod. I don't think there was anything in here that I kind of missed. They've got I think it's the DMR, right? Isn't that the one that's missing? Or the battle rifle was the better one? I don't remember. So yeah, all the popular ones. This one I don't recognize, so this must be in one of the later Halo series, maybe 4 and up or something. And yeah, so you have all these with their stats, and that helps boost your potential for damage. You'll have a bunch of tokens in addition to those, including the items, item tokens, and these get peppered out during the setup of a scenario. So for example, I believe these are plasma grenades. And what would happen is when you deploy them onto the field, you basically do it randomly, and then if you so happen to be in the same cube or square or area as one of these tokens, you'd flip it over, reveal what it is, and it's up to you. It's a free action to take it or not. You don't have to. So this goes into your sort of, I guess, your character. You can carry a maximum of 2. You'll have your shield tokens. Your shield tokens, one side means they're active and you haven't been depleted, and then you flip them over as you deplete or hit take your shield takes hits that you deplete and indicate by flipping it over. I believe at the end of the round, and I can't remember where it is in the rule book, at the end of the round, I believe you recover one shield. So there's a little bit of a healing process or whatnot, so you're not playing the whole game with no shields. And then you've got another token which sort of marks whether you're crouched or not. Crouching gives you some benefit in the game. And also on the flip side is something called pinned, and that's usually a condition that takes place, either an effect from a weapon or circumstance where you're kind of I guess down but not out, and you need to stand up as an action to move forward. It comes with a bunch of D8s, 2 different colors. The black, I believe, is used for, at least they weren't specific, but for defense, and white is for attacking. And when you're rolling, if you roll an 8, it's called a headshot, which basically is your crit, and you get to roll additional die. And what's unique about this is that it can just continue. It could be a domino effect. If you keep on rolling 8s, you keep on rolling more dice. So you could, I think in one game, I built up to maybe 9 hits out of rolling 4 dice, and it was great. I had a wicked time with that one. And so that's kind of neat. And the same thing applies to defense. If you're defending and you roll an 8, you get another burst to roll additional die for every 8 that you roll. And as long as they all count as successes, then you can really build up quite the pool of successes if you have that ability. And then one of the things that I think is really great in this game is the command die. The command die are you're given 2 as a default, and certain characters and possibly certain traits that your characters have allow you to add additional dice, command dice, to your pool, but you'll always have 2. And you'll be rolling them at the very beginning of every round, and these are like extra actions that you can take. Under normal circumstances, your single character can take 2 actions or 1 long action, and these can help augment your options for your character when you need them. So I think this is a fantastic idea. Now, I think this is also part of Dead Zone. So again, I don't know Dead Zone, but for me, this is really cool. So you have one phase here, which is you can add an extra die to your attack. And you can, if you have more than one, you can add as many die as you want. So let's say I'm doing an attack, and I've put together my pool of 4 die, and I want to add 4 more dice to it. I could and if I so happen to have the command die to do that, I can, which is great. The next symbol here is an extra short action attack, ranged attack. So if you've done the other thing I forgot to mention, your 2 short attacks cannot be the same. So where's the reference sheet here? Here's that reference. So here are your options for your actions, and it describes to you what's short and what's long. So as an example, let's say you want to shoot. Shoot is considered a short action. I cannot shoot twice on my character's activation. I can shoot once as a short action, and then my next short action would have to be either an advance, an auxiliary action, whatever that is, I haven't come across it yet, a stand up, or a crouch. If I take 1 long action, that's it. I can only do one long action. But of the 2 short actions I take, it cannot be the same. However, if you have command die, you can then initiate a second action, even though you may have already taken it. So if I take a shot action, which is a short action, and then let's just say I crouch, that's another short action, I can still do this one. I can still take another shot, another range attack. But on my active character's activation, let's just say I had 2 of these. Okay, let's just say I rolled 2, and I've got two command die with additional shoot actions. I take my 2 short actions. I still have these 2. I could use 1 to do another shoot action, and that's it. I can't do a second command die shoot action. And the same goes for this one. This one is the assault. So this is when you're doing melee. So you can use your command die to do another additional assault action once per character or model activation. You've got this symbol here, which allows you to advance your character 1 square. So let's just say, you're your character, you want to do a long action of sprinting, and you can move up to 3. So you move 3, but you want to get to 1 more, then you can use this command die to move 1 more, even though you've taken a long action of sprint. So I think that's really neat too to be able to do. And then this symbol means that you can activate another character on your turn. So once as a player, if I activate one character, normally what would happen is that ends my turn and it passes to my opponent to activate one of their characters. But if I use this command die, in my single turn, I can activate 2 models, which is really great. And then the other one is called the Special Order, I believe this is called, or a Special Command Order or something like that. And that's unique to your faction. So obviously right now there's only 2 factions, which is the Elites and the Spartans. So it's a special order. There's a card that comes with it that you can use. It's usually circumstance depending, like a situational action that you can take. So this, for me, I found really... I think if it wasn't for the command dice, I think this would be a very flat miniatures tactical game. You know, move, take a couple actions, move, or take a couple actions, couple short actions, try to place your characters, shoot, you know, assault and whatever. But with these command die, having these extra options, really, I think this is where the tactical part is, because with what you have, it all depends on what you roll. If you get what you really need, then that's great. If you don't, then you kind of change your strategy based on what your command die are, which I think is really neat, and I like that. So this is, for me, this is a huge plus. And again, if this is something that you Dead Zone players use and are accustomed to, and you're probably thinking, oh, that's no big deal, Dead Zone has that. That's great, and I'm glad that they included it in Flashpoint as well, because for me, I think that makes it really enjoyable. There's a whole bunch of other setup tokens and whatnot that you'll get as well, and that's all, again, more scenario driven. But all in all, the overall component quality for the price point, I think, and the IP, I think, is reasonable. I don't think there's anything here that I said, oh, why is it so cheap? Why is it so whatever? But the mat is good. The terrain, nice thick cardboard that really stands out. The miniatures are great. And all of the components, I think, are really good. I do feel like I wish there was a few more of those D8s, but you can buy booster packs, but I'm debating on whether or not I really need to or not. But I think it would be nice to have maybe had 2 more of each color in there, and I think that'd be solid. So eight black and 8 white, I think would have been just right. Sorry, just going back to those items, you can see here they've got a little sheet reference as well that tells you, it doesn't tell you what it does, but again, all this is in the rule book, and I kind of wish there was a quick reference, even in this size. It'd be great to have maybe 3 of these, and just to explain all the tokens, explain some of the actions or some of the modifiers explanation, and at least something how they've outlined the command die, which is straightforward, and I like that. So I'm right now, I gotta tell you that the IP works for me, and the gameplay works. When I set up the table, I'm going to do a run through to sort of give you a better sense of the rules. But it is a very, I'm not going to call it lightweight. I'm going to call it medium weight type of experience for me. And there's still a lot of referring back to the rule book with small nuances. But overall, the gameplay is smooth. I actually find it smoother than my experience with Crisis Protocol. I feel like there's not as much ambiguity about things. And one of the neat things too is in terms of line of sight, which I'll discuss better once I have the board set up. But what I like is you're actually going from the model's eye view. You know, if something is in line of sight of something. So you're sort of like getting over his shoulder and you're taking a look and you're looking down to see if you have line of sight. And in terms of line of sight, it's as if you can see the base and anything within the cylinder of that base, then you have line of sight. Right? So if I can see his head or his shoulders or his elbow, his hand, or his partial half of his rifle, but any part that leans out of that base, so let's see, like maybe there's a bad example. Maybe this one's a little bit better. Okay, so here the tip of the gun overhangs the base just a little bit. So if for whatever reason, if I'm if I just so happen to be, I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? Right there. Let's just say I see the tip of the gun, but I can't see the base, and I can't see anything above this character's base, this model's base, then I don't have line of sight. So I like that. Even those little intricacies I like, and it makes sense because it kind of falls in theme with the game. And there's also differences in terms of whether you have partial or full view of your opponent or the model, and if you have a clear unobstructed line of sight to the model, then you get a bonus. You get a bonus of a few extra die, and if they're crouched, it makes a difference. So there's all these variables, and this is new to me because I've never really had this level of complexity, I guess, when it comes to line of sight and bonuses and whatnot. But I like it, but it's not like so many things to have to remember. So the way they've designed this on the dead zone system, I think is very intuitive, and I think it can be very quick to pick up, and even measuring range and line of sight and these modifiers, I think has been quite easy to get a hold of. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be back to set up the table for a quick run through of Halo Flashpoint. So far I think when I play, and obviously I'm playing against myself, I run anywhere between 60 to 90 minutes. And that's initially when I was still learning the rule sets and whatnot. So I'm very sure somewhere between 45 to 60 minutes, you could probably get through a match of Slayer. Maybe something like Capture the Flag might take a little longer because there's a variable involved where you're trying to, move your flag. Whereas in Slayer, it's just straight out kills. You can say, first to 3 kills or first to 5 kills wins the match. So I'll set up the table and we'll have a take at Halo Flashpoint. So I will see you soon.